The head, the tail, the whole damn thing.
Tyler, you're on. Tyler, you there?
That's a go on, Tyler. Hey.
Have you seen him?
I have not. Have you talked to him?
Oh, shit. I got an email. I thought it was a Bulgarian phishing scheme. He was in jail or woke up in a bathtub full of ice or something. I don't know what it was about.
Oh, shit. How? We gotta get this going. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Oh yeah, happy Halloween. This is our Halloween episode, and we're doing Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and...
Late Night with the Devil.
Let's drop in on the boys and see what we're talking about. Does that make sense when we say it?
I don't know, we just gotta go.
Love that scream.
That theme is good, too. That theme makes me feel like I'm in a Halloween movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's a little John Carpenter, Alan Howarth.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that was my request, actually. When I tasked Aaron Globerman to come up with the theme, I said, just think Carpenter, man. Like The Fog and, Escape from New York and Halloween and all that stuff.
Totally.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. And he knocked that out pretty quick. How you been? What's shaking? What have you been up to?
Crazy, actually. Running around Chicago unexpectedly today.
Oh. Are the police after you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I didn't do anything illegal this time.
You weren't making the sauce?
No.
Or you kind of are making the sauce. For people that don't know, we're referring to Ray Liotta in Goodfellas at the end when he's doing a ton of coke and he's just out of his mind and he's seeing black helicopters and he's sending the babysitter off with drugs and a baby to go to wherever the hell she's going. And he's making sauce, and he's got his brother, who's, I think, in a wheelchair, right? And he's like, keep stirring it, keep stirring the sauce. But it's all about the sauce and gun deals and drug deals and the helicopters. And anytime I'm incredibly busy, I always just say, I'm making the sauce. So this week, you've been making the sauce?
Pretty typical Wednesday, really.
Yeah. Luge lessons?
No, we have a friend who's there's a Broadway tour of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. It's the opening night of the tour is in Chicago tomorrow night, and our friend is in it, and he got us tickets to the opening night party afterwards. But he couldn't leave them at will call, neither one of us knew this, so I very hurriedly had to get on a train and get to Chicago today so I could pick up the tickets and the party passes so that we can go tomorrow. And I only had a short window, so I literally got off the train and then was running through the streets of Chicago to meet him at the stage door of this theater. And then pretty much just ran all the way back to the train so I could get back in time to record.
Didn't you do a commercial like that for Spain or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually thought about that as I was doing it, but yeah, that was a while ago. It was for Movie Star Phone. I was basically running through the streets of Bilbao, Spain, speaking into a telephone, dubbed over in Spanish.
Nice. ¿Dónde está la movies?
Yeah. I never did find the library, though.
La biblioteca. Nice. That's good. Cool. So, this is our Halloween episode. And, I thought it would be good to do something very Halloween-y. So, we chose Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, rated R. And what's the other movie?
And then we went with a movie that takes place on a Halloween night in 1977.
Yes.
Late Night with the Devil.
Nice, yeah. Late Night with the Devil and Halloween 3. I didn't realize until getting to the end of Late Night with the Devil just how similar these movies are.
Oh, yeah? All right, we'll jump into that. Because I had very different reactions to both.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the episode you've been waiting for.
Where we finally disagree about something.
It could be. It could very well be. Or, surprisingly enough, maybe not. Also, this month we will have been on Dana Gould's podcast as well.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're going to record that this Sunday with him. That should be a lot of fun. It's called the Dana Gould Comedy Hour. Or is it just the Dana Gould Hour?
I think it's the Dana Gould Hour.
Yeah, but it's like 2.5 hours or 3 hours. So it's not. It's like the Dana Gould Hours.
Oh, maybe we should suggest that when we're on this podcast.
You can do
that. Hey, Dana, before we get into anything,
listen, kid.
We've got some notes.
Yeah. We noticed the title isn't quite apropos to the show. I just wanted to use apropos in a sentence.
The October episode for that, so
yep.
Just in time for spooky season.
That's right, spooky season. I'm so excited that spooky season is upon us because it means that everyone's got the Halloween stuff out and Spirit is pumping pretty hard. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's the most magical time of the year, I think. Isn't that what they call it?
It is, yeah. Although some places are already switching over to Christmas.
Halloween, the most magical time of the year when we celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior.
That's right.
Right?
Satan? Anyway, yeah.
Halloween 3.
Uh-huh.
Boy, Season of the Witch.
Yeah. Let me give a little Halloween 3 breakdown, okay? Halloween 3, not related to the other Halloween movies. If you are new to horror or the Halloween series, you will not know, that Halloween 3 is titled Season of the Witch. Has nothing to do with the Michael Myers storyline. And originally, what the plan was for John Carpenter and Deborah Hill was that every year they were going to release a new Halloween type movie, but not related to Michael Myers. It was just going to be something around the holiday of Halloween. And then like every year it would be a different movie, a different kind of plot, a different whatever. And then those movies would have their own spin-offs and so on and so forth.
Be like an anthology, right? It's a great idea.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic idea. Yeah. And Halloween was hugely popular. And then they were like, I think it was Mustafa Akkad that probably said, you have to do a sequel to Halloween with Michael Myers first. And they did. They did that sequel, Halloween 2. But at the end of Halloween 2, Michael Myers dies. Mm-hmm. Everybody forgets that. There's a fire. Loomis shoots his gun. There's an explosion and a fire in the hospital. You see the mask burning, I think, at one point. And I really like that movie Halloween 2. Okay, I love Halloween 1 and Halloween 2. I even read the Dennis Etchison, novelizations of them.
Ooh,
yeah, that's how much I loved those movies when I was growing up.
The thing about the novelizations, though, is like, especially, when you were growing up and reading after the movies, and it's really before VHS and Betamax, and you could rent the movies, right? The only way you could experience these movies a second time.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't see them in the theater if they'd already been out of the theater, was to read the novelization of it. So I remember you had a lot of those growing up. I remember you had the novelization of Alien.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
A lot of those old classic horror movies that...
I loved all that stuff. And I just ate it up. So, anyway, back to the story. Halloween 3... Season of the Witch, it's a whole different thing. It's about witches. It's about, it's the three masks, the witch mask and the skeleton mask and the pumpkin mask, which are the Halloween 3 in the movie. It's the Halloween 3 masks, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I know. You're shaking your head. You're like, I don't know.
Already. Yeah. There's so many weak details about this movie that I want to get into, and so you've just added more fuel to the Halloween 3 bonfire.
Excellent. So it's about the mask. It opens with a guy being chased, and he gets into a little fracas with somebody, and he ends up going to the hospital where the world's drunkest doctor is going to take over and ask him some questions, and then somebody comes in and kills him, and then the doctor chases the killer outside, and the killer incinerates himself in a car, and then the daughter of the dude that gets killed in the hospital shows up, and she's like, my father was doing this, and please help me. And Dr. Drunk goes home to his family and says, all right, I got to go do a thing, and leaves his wife and kids.
He is divorced. He is divorced already. And I want to touch on that as we get into it. Because the divorced dad energy in Halloween 3 is off the charts.
Nice. So they go to this small town to investigate, find out some shenanigans at the mask making company, and we'll just take it from there. So right out of the gate, what do you think about Halloween 3?
Let me just say, Halloween 3, I was actually pretty excited to revisit this one. Now, I didn't expect it to be good at all, but I knew what you just said, like it's the Halloween without Michael Myers, right? Which gives it some sort of cult cred, I guess, when you talk about it with people who don't know, or people who know horror movies, and you talk about Halloween, Halloween 3 doesn't have Michael Myers. There's people who are surprised by that, right? They just associate Michael Myers with that brand so much. I'm excited to see this movie. It does have a little bit of a cult following to it. There's a couple articles out there that are like, Halloween 3, one of the best in the series, So I wasn't expecting it to be good, but I thought, maybe I'll see a little diamond in the rough here. Maybe I'll see, something that's got some really great ideas, and it just kind of fell short. And God, what a waste of potential, a waste of my time. Really, I got to the end of it, and I was just like, good God. I thought the idea, like Halloween as an anthology series, like you were describing before, like that's a great idea. If they wanted to step away from Michael Myers, and then like every couple of Halloweens, some new horror movie comes out, and it's got John Carpenter's backing, and there's plenty to suggest, like, that was a great idea. But this one is just so poorly executed from beginning to end.
I disagree.
Oh God, it's boring. It has some of the like laziest kills. It does have a couple of good effects in it.
It's got some great kills. What's lazy? Come on, give me a lazy kill.
Okay, how about I think it's one of the first ones in the movie where the old man with the mask, he's running away from the bad guys who are just wearing like gray wool suits. They're the most nondescript, boring bad guys.
Sure. For a reason, though,
Sure, I guess. Your reason is the slow creep of late stage capitalism and how it's going to destroy our children's future. No, our guy's running away. And at one point, he's getting strangled by one, and he reaches over and he pulls like a cement block from a nearby car that rolls and just squishes one of these guys. Yeah. But it's so lackluster. And then later on in the hospital, they finally catch up to that guy, and they like stick their fingers in his eyes.
Yeah.
But you don't really see it. They just sort of like just press down on his eyes, and I think the actor lurches a little bit. And then the hand comes up with some blood that then the dude just wipes on the curtains. Like, what a dick. What a dick move.
But maybe you blinked and you missed the fake head with the rubber nose where he's like breaking the bridge of the nose and pulling it up. Like, that's kind of inventive.
It was. Yeah, I disagree. I thought that one was lame. It's not until much later in the movie when we get the woman in the motel,
Marge. Yeah.
When Marge gets it with the laser beam.
Yep. From the Silver Shamrock. I guess tag that is on the back of the masks.
Now
all these people are showing up to buy masks from this mask company, and all the masks have these tags on the back. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought a lot. We can get into that when we talk about what's good, but I found a lot of this movie just looked so cheap. Like, especially when they get to they spent a majority of their budget, I felt, on like those masks, because there's a scene where there's like 100 of those masks that they just poured out of molds and cardboard boxes, because so often the set in this movie is just like stacks of cardboard boxes making walls that people are going through.
You know, some of that mask making company or those scenes were shot at Don Post Studios, where they made the actual masks. So those are actual masks that Don Post made and sold to people.
It doesn't surprise me, because I feel like this movie, it looked like they tried to cut corners wherever possible in this movie. So, I mean, cheap sets, the confused plot, you know, in its bones, the very essence of this. I thought this movie has a lot to do with like old H.P. Lovecraft stories, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple of them where, like, you have your learned man who's either a scholar or an anthropologist or something. In this case, it's a doctor. You know, he's got some issues, this doctor. But you get
Dr.
to the doctor.
McDrinky, sure.
Yeah, he gets word of some strange goings on in a nearby town. So he goes to investigate, and he gets to the town, and it's like weird. Everybody's staring out windows, and he's getting funny looks from everyone as he comes in. And then he investigates a little further, and he finds that there's this nefarious cult at work, and they're all working towards this. You know, the stars have aligned to create this cataclysmic event that's going to bring doom on mankind. That essentially is the bare bones of this movie.
That's a cool idea.
Oh, it's a great idea. It's a great idea. It's rock solid, actually.
Yeah.
I just felt that, like, when it came to explaining that plot, they missed every opportunity to kind of make it clear until they have perhaps the most egregious James Bond villain monologue, like, "Oh, Mr. Bond, I'm going to explain everything away before I tie you up and leave you be with little chance of escaping."
Yeah.
And then, of course, he escapes. He knows the plot. He sees where the girl is, you know, and he foils them in the end. They had so many opportunities before then to seed kind of what the cult was doing, what was going on, what the mystery was, and they ignored it almost every single time, and they just exchanged it for like one big monologue dump from the bad guy in the end.
Sure. Conal Cochran just explaining away his druidic magic, essentially. And that's how I looked at it. It's druidic earth magic, you know, because they stole Stonehenge, although they don't tell you how they did it, which is a pretty fucking funny line. It's like, "Oh, you wouldn't believe the time we had bringing it here." Like, you're right, I wouldn't. Like, how did you do that?
Well, you know, if they had taken the time to say, like, you know, the spells and incantations were rigorous, I would have. But again, it just felt like lazy writing. They're like, we don't really need to explain it. And to be honest, the weird mix of it's druidic magic and I'm making robots.
Yeah, the Westworld fucking vibe that it gives off. Yeah.
Yeah, was also so thin. Like, those two things, those are not exactly peanut butter and jelly. You know, you don't normally think of like old Celtic magic and and
Sure,
androids together.
Yeah.
So you got to give me a little something.
But the first time you get the whole android thing, I'm like, oh, what? Like, what the fuck is going on? I kind of like how bananas this movie is, right?
It is bananas. I'll give you that.
Absolutely bananas. And that is what I love about it. This movie has such a weird character and charm to it. And it's so fresh and not rehashed garbage. And I think all the kills are fun. You know, you may not like the pull apart the nose thing in the hospital, but I like that. The Marge one with the blasting open her face. The way that was done, you know, you've got the actress on the bed, right? And then you've got a fake head of the actress that is all busted open, but real hands, like they did in Poltergeist, where the real hands are like pulling away the flesh on the fake head.
Yeah.
So you've got the real hands expressing anguish up near the crazy looking fake head where the eyes are like, you know, way too wide open and everything is kind of split and fucked up. And then it's a makeup on her where she's like writhing in pain that matches the head. And that's kind of cool. And then back to the fake head so we can get the bugs pouring out of it, just like E.G. Marshall and Creepshow, you know? And that's great. I love the bugs pouring out of that shit.
The bugs coming out is, especially because it's a really gnarly fake head, like the way the mouth is blown open. It is super gross. You know, eyes bulging out. So when they do all that, I think there's even a shot of like her feet sort of writhing in the bottom of the bed too. Yeah, they're really selling the you know,
that there's a lady there
hanging on,
Absolutely.
and the bug coming out is a genuine shock. It's certainly, it's the best one in the movie. And there's, you know, you have another good one too with the
little kid.
No. I mean, the kid's fine, but the bum who gets his head torn off. By robots.
Yeah. By what's his name? Who played the Shape in Halloween 2?
Oh, who's it? The actor that did that?
Yeah. See, that's look, I'm drawing another blank. Everyone's going to yell at me.
Well, that's funny because, you know, this was directed.
Dick Warlock. I didn't even look it up. I just figured it out.
This is directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, and he at one point plays the Shape in Halloween 1.
Yeah, he was production designer on Halloween 1.
Yeah, and was he editor as well? He edited The Fog.
Yeah.
But I think he plays the Shape in The Closet in Halloween 1.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Do you know what he did in this movie besides direct it?
Well, he's the voice during the Silver Shamrock commercial, isn't he?
He is the voice during the Silver Shamrock commercial. He's also the voice singing the song. They slowed him down and then sped him up.
Oh, that's funny, Andy. Yes. Yeah. There it is.
So the chipmunky sounding voice is actually him sped up.
Tommy Lee Wallace.
Be in front of it.
Yeah. That's good shit.
And remember the big giveaway at 9.
I forgot I was going to torture you with this song every time you
yeah.
talk shit about this movie.
You know, I had seen, this is another one of those movies that, like, I think it had been on TV a number of times, and I'd always caught bits and pieces of it. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't watched the whole thing from beginning to end in many years. But that song, I mean, anybody who's seen this movie has got that song stuck in their head.
I have no idea
Oh
what
my
you mean.
God.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Listens to this podcast will have this song stuck in their head. Oh my God.
I'll try not to.
So I've got some more Tommy Lee Wallace trivia about this too.
All right, let's hear it.
If you want. So Tommy Lee Wallace married to Nancy Loomis.
Yep.
Nancy Loomis, who is in this movie playing the ex-wife, playing Tom Atkins, or what's his name, Dr. Chalice.
Yeah.
Dr. Chalice's ex-wife in this, and she's also in Halloween 1, right? She's Annie, the girl who gets killed in the car.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Tommy Lee Wallace is also, he is noted as a writer of this, but it's actually Nigel Neal who wrote the original screenplay. And I guess it's about 60% what Nigel did. And then John Carpenter took a pass at it, and then Tommy Lee took a pass at it at the end. But Tommy Lee's the only one that's credited. It's like written and directed by.
Well, it definitely has the flavor of Too Many Cooks.
Yeah. I'm wondering who put the androids in.
Oh my gosh, me too. Me too. It does speak a little bit to like that early 80s fear of, you know, it's a little bit before Terminator, but that like all the robots were one day going to turn against us, that this technology was going to be the ruin of us all.
Well, essentially that's what he's doing. He's using early computer technology to essentially wipe out children across the world, or at least in the California time zone.
Yeah. And he's doing it years before Facebook was. So you really got to give him years before Instagram took a crack at ruining every child's and adolescent's life.
Absolutely.
He's going for it.
But here we are. He's trying to do it. And come on, this movie kills kids. Come on.
That's bold. And they do show one getting it there.
Yeah. And he's a little jerk anyway. He fucking deserved it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that whole family smacked of like, the obnoxious American stereotype.
Completely. Yeah. They're the people you don't want to stand next to in Europe.
Oh, 100%. Like, no. I'm not with them.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
I'm Canadian.
We're Canadian. Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. We're on holiday.
Yeah.
How about them Leafs, eh?
Anyone know where I can get a Tim Hortons around here?
Timmy Hortons,
No, they even drive up in a big Winnebago, and the guy like comes off like all like loud and shaking hands and
completely
obnoxious wife and
absolutely yeah.
But yes, they don't shy away from killing the kid. They put the little pumpkin mask on him, and you get to watch him writhe in pain before the snakes come out of the mask. Just like in Ireland.
Oh, druidic magic. There it is. Yeah. They drove the snakes out of Ireland right out of the mask. Yeah. Come on. That's brilliant. You have to agree. That is brilliant. And then the mom faints, and then the dad is bitten by the rattler, the boy's head rattler. Yeah.
Oh.
You know what's funny, though, is when that guy, Buddy, is telling Dr. Chalice all about like Mr. Cochran. Oh, Mr. Cochran. You remember you remember the dead dwarf gag, right? It's like, what? Like he's a prankster, the old dead dwarf gag. And I thought I came up with some other ones like the old glass bear trap. Remember that one? What about the peanut butter shotgun? That's a classic, isn't it?
The maker of razor blade toilet seat, he's a real gas.
Oh, absolutely. Soft chainsaw. I remember that. Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Connell Cochran there, played by Dan O'Herlihy.
Yeah, who had won an Oscar for something. I don't know what the hell it was.
I think nominated for Robinson Crusoe.
Oh, okay.
Not that I knew that beforehand, but I mean, I was like, because as soon as I see that guy, I mean, really the thing I think of first is the old man in RoboCop. He plays the head of the corporation.
Dick Jones?
No. Dick Jones is Ronnie Cox, right?
Yeah.
He's
you're right. Oh my God, you're
fired.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Fuck. You're right.
Yeah.
I thank you. I was comparing him to Jurassic Park.
Oh, Richard Attenborough?
He's very Mr. Hammond in this movie. He's spared no expense.
Malevolent Mr. Hammond or Dr. Hammond or Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the kind of character actor that, is going to deliver on something like this. So he gets that big monologue at the end, and it's not, it's not his fault that the writing is terrible, but at least you've got a good actor to stand and deliver that kind of stuff. But I just remember thinking, like, it was just so ridiculously James Bond. Like, they're taking our hero down in the elevator, and that's when they reveal the whole plot to him. And they even reveal on the surveillance camera, like, where the damsel in distress is before they, just tie him to a chair. Like, oh, we'll get to you later. I'm like, you fucking kidding me?
I did write a note. I'm not 100% sure what Cochran wants, but I'm cool with it.
Well, it is extreme, right? I mean, he wants to sacrifice. He wants a mass human child sacrifice. On All Hallows Eve.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Cool idea. Planets are aligned. But what time frame is he looking at? Because, like, we're in California. They keep playing up the fact that we're in California. So in New York, it was 3 hours ago that this happened. Are there dead kids all across the world in the United States? And Tom Atkins is saving the ones in California at the end when he's screaming, "Turn it off! Turn it off!" with the last TV channel. And what if there was cable like we have today?
I think you can only utilize the power of Stonehenge at like one specific hour. It's like a live event when it goes down.
Okay.
That's like an old druid magic stipulation. Like, druids don't know shit about time zones.
Stonehenge, where the demons dwell, where the banshees live, and they do live well.
Yes. Where a man's a man, and the children dance to the pipes of Pan. I would be a liar if I didn't say that. The 2 times Stonehenge comes up in this movie.
You thought of the song.
Yeah, instantly that Spinal Tap song just goes right to
100%. 100%.
So what else did you like about this movie? Because I have some other things that I still thought were bad, but I found them at least amusing as I thought about them.
I love the Carpenter Alan Howarth soundtrack. I think it is absolutely fantastic as far as soundtracks go. And it's one of those that I occasionally put on because it's just so cool and vibey and reminds me of The Fog. And they used to do this thing that they did on both Escape from New York and The Fog, where they would just watch the movie from beginning to end and play live to it. And if you're watching the movie, you can totally feel that's what they're doing. They're just playing a vibe for these scenes. And I fucking love that Carpenter vibe. Yeah. So, absolutely. That is one of my favorite parts about this movie is the soundtrack.
Yeah, I love those Carpenter beats. I did feel there was at one point in this movie I was like, boy, that's intense. It's starting to sound a little bit like a car alarm or something. Some sort of alarm was going off. And I was like, oh, somebody needs to like click their fob and turn that off.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I agree with you. And right from the beginning shot of this movie, when it's like the 8-bit pumpkin that's appearing on the screen, you get those beats. And I'm always a fan. I'm always a fan of that stuff.
Yeah, me too. I think this movie has a really great All Hallows Eve Halloween.
Just
whatever.
say it again.
Yeah, Halloween. It's a Halloween vibe. It's Man Muncher, everybody. Halloweeny. It has a great Halloweeny vibe.
So there was one thing, because I watched this movie probably twice now in the last.
Maybe that was the problem. You were sober.
Probably. I should have altered my state of mind. But there's just one. I started laughing about it like pretty early in the movie, and that is, I mentioned it before, the divorced dad vibes that this movie gives are so strong. So like this came out in 1982. I actually went and researched it a little bit. So it comes out in 82, 1981, like the early 80s, 80, 81, 82. That is when the divorce rate in the United States is at its highest.
Really?
Of all time.
This is some research that you did?
Yeah.
For Halloween 3?
Yes. I had to look because it's referenced so much throughout. I really thought that, like, I was like, man, was Tommy Lee Wallace going through a divorce as he was writing this? Because if it came out in 82, they probably shot it in 81.
This has been an American National Minute.
I think it comes out in 82, right? So he's probably being shot in 81, and maybe it's, being written in 1980. That's all pure conjecture or whatever. But it made me wonder about Tommy Lee Wallace. Like, was he going through a divorce and writing this protagonist? Because,
jeez, I don't know.
Because Tom Atkins in this movie, who plays Dr. Chalice, he is chasing every bit of tail that he can.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He is the horniest, most drunkest doctor in the world.
I mean, it is hysterical. And he has a scene where he comes in and sees the ex-wife and tries to be a hero for his kids for like 30 seconds. And then literally his ex-wife like opens her mouth and he gets a page and he like has to take a phone call. So relieved to get out of there and get back to the hospital, where he's like smacking the nurses on the ass. And I even noticed at one point, like if you're a doctor, you probably, at least back in the 80s, for sure, you got to keep it business. You'd wear a tie, wouldn't you?
Sure.
But not him. Like he's got it unbuttoned, so he's going business casual. But then as he progresses in the hospital, he's like 3 buttons down, or what I like to refer to as business macho. Yeah, and he is just chasing like the guy who's murdered his daughter comes in, and you just know it's like, it's just a matter of time.
Oh, and it does not take long. And she is ready for that fucking romance too. The moment they get to the hotel or the motel in the small town, and she's like, "Where do you want to sleep?" And he's like, "Well, that's a dumb question, Mrs. Grimple," or whatever her name is.
Gingrich, maybe something like that. Yeah. No, it was ridiculous, and also like I was looking at Tommy Lee Wallace as like writing this, because she's also like, I don't know, what do you think, 20 years younger than him? Like really divorced dad is just like hitting on the waitress at Bennigan's. You know what I mean? Trying to get lucky one more time. There's even that scene before they head to that motel where he's like talking to you can hear the nagging ex-wife on the phone, and it sounds like, what do you mean you can't do this? You said you better. And he's all like, yeah, sorry, I can't get out of it. It's a doctor's convention. She's like, well, where's it going to be? And he's like, I don't even know, but I gotta go. He like hangs up the phone, and he grabs like a 6 or a High Life and then jumps into the hottie's Oldsmobile to speed towards the motel.
The champagne of beers.
Oh, man. And I also noticed that, they get to the motel and they make this deal about like, okay, we're going to pose as man and wife. Yeah. And
like 30-year age difference. That's what we're going to pose as. And then like the motel manager is like, oh, can I help you with your bags? Like, oh, you didn't pack very much. Apparently she had a teddy in there, though. She comes out later, and she's wearing like this lingerie piece. Yeah,
it's like
must have had it in her purse.
Just kept it in the glove box in case.
Yeah, of the Oldsmobile.
And also, around this whole time, we talked about before. We've talked about those moments in horror movies that make you uncomfortable, but they don't necessarily have anything to do with the horror or the terror or suspense. Sure. Like the curtains in the sink in A Violent Nature. But this one was when the girl gets out of the shower at the motel, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm so cold," and she like goes over to the bed, and she just wraps herself in the comforter from the motel, and I was like, who would put a motel comforter on their naked body?
On their naked, moist body. You're just activating every dried fluid on that comforter.
Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind?
Oh, my God.
I totally cringed when that happened.
Yeah.
Probably as much as I did when Marge got her face blown off with the laser later on.
Yeah, nice. That reminds me, I was on location once in New Orleans, right? So I'm in Louisiana, and I get it up to my room, and immediately I see this weird white streamy streak on the curtains.
What?
Yeah. And
no.
I call down to the front desk. I'm like, can you send somebody up here, please? And they come up, and I'm like, I don't want to stay in that room because that is obviously someone's jizz all over the fucking curtain. And I'm thinking, first of all, how did this happen? It's not like it overlooked a pool or something, right? It's overlooking a parking lot and a fucking, a Mr. Bojangles, fucking restaurant or some shit like that. Unless you're watching the chicks come wandering out in flip-flops and that's like your thing.
The thing for curly fries.
Oh man, the biscuits. Look at the biscuits on that one there. So yeah, but I had to call them up quickly because I didn't want them to think that I had done it so fast. I was like, this is obviously not me.
It's kind of my thing. Whenever I check into a new hotel room. See how early I can get the front desk up here.
Yeah. Show off. Look at all that. I've been holding it for days, I'll be honest.
These people exist. We laugh.
They do. That's why I will never take a black light into a hotel room because I just don't want to know. Oh, hell yeah. That was a good segue. Jizz in hotel rooms. Hi, and welcome to the Health Hour.
I'm just saying, man, like of all, because they wash the sheets.
That's the comforter. The comforter doesn't get washed.
Rarely gets touched. So the last thing, don't pull that off. Honey.
Like you're just so like, yeah, this is great. Usually the comforter is the first thing you turn down, and I'm not using that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so what are we gonna rate with this movie with?
The Silver Shamrocks.
How many Silver Shamrocks do you give Halloween 3: Season of the Witch?
I give Halloween 3 2.5 Silver Shamrocks.
Oh, fucking hell! No way.
Yes way. I thought this movie was bland. It was boring. It might have had the bones of a good story, but it got real convoluted. I mean, that song is catchy. You got to admit, that song is catchy.
Yeah.
But overall, I was not feeling this movie. It just got so mixed up.
Time, kids. The clock is ticking.
Wow.
Be in front of your TV sets for the horathon.
Here's where we vastly differ.
Don't miss it.
I love this movie. I think this movie is great. I will watch this movie every couple of years just because I think it is so bug shit bananas fun. I think the effects are good. I think the music is good. I think the whole movie has a cool John Carpenter vibe to it. I love the batshit fucking storyline. And I was a huge fan of Westworld when I was a kid too. So even the dumb android aspect, I'm like, Westworld. So I give this 8 Silver Shamrocks. 8. I fucking love this movie. 2.5 to 8.
2.5. No, I wouldn't give it. I wouldn't give it more than 2.5. I really feel like
Wow.
And here's the thing: I did see articles that said like this is one of the best of the series, and I have
Sure.
to tell you that is a tremendously low bar, though. It's certainly better than like a lot of the Halloween movies, which are utter garbage.
Yeah.
I'm looking
I
at
agree.
you, 5.
I mean, yeah. I will look. Yeah, and 6. And
Yeah.
all the new ones, the Rob Zombie Halloweens, which I
boy.
thought,
I might enjoy Rob Zombie Halloween more than this one.
oh my God, you go straight to hell.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. But
There is no way the Rob Zombie Halloweens are better than this. There is no way.
I'm not saying they're good, but I am saying that this one's terrible.
Oh man, ouch.
Maybe it's because I really wanted to enjoy it. Like I said, like I really was like, oh, it's the one without Michael Myers, and it got some cult following, and everybody loves that song. Everybody loves that song. But I was just so disappointed.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I can accept this. I realize that it is a cult film, and it is one of those things that people either love or absolutely hate. And I go into the love category just because it's so odd and interesting. And yeah, as far as the Halloween movies go, I love the original Halloween and I love Halloween 2. And that's where it should have ended. And then this movie is a different thing. And that's fun. And all those other Halloween movies, no good.
I think it was a great idea. I'm sorry it didn't catch on.
Sure.
It didn't catch on because this movie is shit. I'm sorry it didn't catch on because it would have been cool, like every 3 years or 4 years or something, to get a new Halloween movie that took place on Halloween and, part of this anthology. And then who knows, if you get 7 into it, then you do bring Michael Myers back. That would have been spectacular. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, he's been gone for all that time, and then you do another one of those stories or something.
I could get into that. I could get into that. Absolutely.
They just switched back to doing 4 was, I think, the return of Michael Myers, and then what was 5? I don't remember. 5 is such a
5 is the one where you get the impression that Michael Myers was no, he wasn't. Was he put into jail? Did they capture him at the end of 4?
Yeah.
And then he's in jail, and then busted out of jail by some guy with a weird tattoo. And then they tried
a cowboy?
They tried to do this whole weird tattoo cult thing. That was just fucking stupid. So yeah.
But we'll save that turd for another episode because we have much better movies to talk about than Halloween 5.
Yeah.
We got to talk about Late Night with the Devil, but should we take a bit of a break before we
should
hit into that?
Yeah, let's take a quick break and go to the lobby and come back and talk about that.
Sounds good.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the diva to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
God damn you. Damn you.
It's all
To hell.
Let's just listen to it now this time. Let's listen to. I know we're not talking about this movie anymore, but
And remember the big
I want people to understand that I don't necessarily think it's a great movie. That's not why I gave it an 8.
Happy, happy Halloween,
It's my heart that gives it an 8.
happy, happy Halloween.
It's nostalgia that gives it an 8.
I get that. Can kick it up a few notches because of nostalgia.
Silver shamrock.
That actually is a good segue into this next movie. Late Night with the Devil really hit a nostalgic nerve for me.
Okay.
The way that it was shot, the color palette, just not just taking place in the 1970s, but just they did such a good job with the production elements of the TV show. And the sort of, we'll talk about Satanic Panic again, I guess.
Yeah.
Of those late 70s, early 80s, that there was a lot about this movie that sort of triggered like fears I had when I was a little kid, about the devil and demonic possession and things like that.
Yeah.
But,
I don't want to read too much into what you're saying already, but I'm getting kind of a slight little vibe or feeling that you might have liked this more than Halloween 3.
Yeah, well, you'll have to wait for the big giveaway to find out.
What time's the big giveaway?
9 p.m. Make sure you're wearing your silver shamrock mask.
We didn't even talk about the fact that they're drawing the kids around a television set to kill them. Like,
we're done with that movie.
No,
I am done with that movie.
No, it's this is important. It's all about how children are being brought forward, to use the television as an illicit form of something to destroy them. I mean, it's all about how media destroys. Man. I mean, you really gotta like the druidic earth magic and
listen. If you're not going to kowtow to my saying that the gray wool suited robots represented late stage capitalism encroaching on our children's futures and destroying them.
I'm agreeing with that, man.
No, it's all
far
bullshit.
Halloween.
But let's talk about Late Night with the Devil.
Oh,
Done
yes.
with Halloween.
Are we?
I got a feeling that song's going to come up when we take our next lobby break. I can hear it already.
All right, so why don't you tell people what it's about, Late Night with the Devil?
So, Late Night with the Devil uses some of the tropes of found footage in a slightly new way.
Sure.
Showcasing a late-night talk show host's attempt to raise himself up through the ratings with a special Halloween broadcast that features a number of occult elements, including speaking with a demon itself. Like I said, I loved the nostalgic elements about this movie. I think there is a lot that it did well. I feel it's a little bit constrained by the found footage tropes. And ultimately, it sort of crash lands, but just the wheels break off the plane. The whole thing doesn't explode. At the end of it, I got out, and I had a really good time with this movie. I thought it had some good spooks. I thought it had some great performances, especially from David Dastmalchian.
Yep.
I think is how you pronounce that guy's last name.
He was great.
Very believable. And I enjoyed this movie thoroughly. What did you think?
I have to agree, although it is no Halloween 3.
God damn you.
Now normally I do not like found footage movies. Found footage movies can go fuck themselves. Found footage movies is Hollywood's way of saying, well, we don't actually have enough money to make a movie, so we're gonna make a movie about a movie, and we can do it with handheld cameras and give them to the actors, and we can blah, blah, and it's just bullshit for the most part.
Yeah. I think there's some notable exceptions. I would say that there are some notable exceptions to that. But for
The Last Broadcast is a good found footage movie, if you've ever seen that one.
For the most part, I agree with you. I haven't seen that one, but I actually really like the original, the Spanish record, or REC, or whatever you want to call it.
Yes. In fact, one of our newest members that joined the other day messaged me and said, hey, can you do Rec and Rec 2? And I said, we will take it under advisement. Absolutely. Yeah,
I really enjoyed Rec. Certainly, I when I saw Blair Witch Project the first time, that was new and fresh, and I thought
Yeah.
that was pretty exciting.
Now, let me stop you right there. When you saw Blair Witch, was it the underground video version before it was released as a movie? Because that's how I saw it.
Ooh. No, I didn't see the underground video version. I wish that I had, though.
Yeah, because at that point it was like, is this real? Like, what is this? Where did this come from?
Yeah.
And it was floating around, in the underground. You know how we are in the underground.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I thought the first rule was that we don't talk about the underground.
that's true. We get up close to curtains and we check things out in the Bojangles parking lot.
Now I got to call the front desk real quick so show them what I've done.
Look, I'm so proud of myself.
No. I wish I had seen Blair Witch like that, though. No, I saw it really early when it broke in movie theaters, and there was enough. There was enough of a splash when that movie came out that there were a number of people who were still like, was this a real thing?
Yeah.
And I didn't believe that, but the hysteria around it was still fun to get caught up in. Even though I was
Absolutely.
like, no,
And
it's
it
not
was
a real-
clever.
Yeah.
Clever fucking way to make a cheap movie.
Much like every thing in Hollywood, once they were like, oh, that's a winning formula, they just drove it into the ground.
Yeah, way too much. So, getting back to, yes, I do not like found footage movies, but this is about as unfound footage as a found footage movie can be. Sure. And again, like you say, towards the end, well, maybe we'll save that for the spoilers.
We could just say that it doesn't quite stay within the parameters that it set up in the beginning. And if that bothers you, that's a legit criticism of this movie.
Yeah.
But
I will say that's one of the things that bothered me.
Yeah.
But
you're correct in saying, like, it's about as, less of a found footage movie as you could make, because it's essentially, it is the broadcast.
Yep. In real time.
In real time. Mm-hmm. And then they take you behind the scenes, which is like often, like during the commercial breaks and things like that. You go behind the scenes.
I mean, let's face it, they really wouldn't have had behind the scenes cameras.
No,
but,
of course not.
But I get it. I understand that's the only way you can convey the characters talking to each other off the stage, and it makes sense. You have to do it that way. Honestly,
as a modern audience, we've had enough experience with that trope.
Yeah.
Whether it's the movies we were talking about earlier, or it's like TV shows like The Office or Modern Family, I think a modern American audience isn't going to bat an eye so much when they go backstage, because of course they don't have cameras on them back there. I will say,
especially in 1977.
One of the things I liked about it, though, was how not only the TV show, the actual footage of the TV show is all in color, and then when they go behind the scenes, they switch to black and white. They also changed the aspect ratio, which I thought was pretty cool, right?
I guess I didn't notice that.
Yeah, so the TV
Did they go to
show,
4:3?
I'm not.
Or do they go to widescreen black and white, and then
widescreen black and white
4:3 for the show?
And it's 4:3 for the show. So the show looks like it's on just a little television-sized box. Yeah. Whereas the behind-the-scenes stuff, they turn it to black and white, but they widen it out. And so I really thought in the beginning, they're pushing the boundaries a little bit, but they were doing it with knowing what they were doing and really had command of it.
Sure.
Again, that whole convention sort of falls apart near the end. And like I said, if that's going to bother you, I think it's a legit criticism. But at that point, I was along for the ride. At the end of it.
I agree to a point. Without getting into spoilers, I think the end gets... I think this movie has a certain subtlety to it all the way up until about the last 15 minutes. And then it's like smacking you in the face with hammers.
Yeah, it's I guess you could say when it hits the climax of the movie, they certainly step on the gas pedal.
It really leaves a mess on the curtains.
Somebody call the front desk.
Yeah.
Because
This movie is getting it on the curtains.
I had a late night with the devil, and it was a mess.
That Bojangles biscuit with butter and jam, I tell you what.
But I enjoyed the acting. Like I said, I think David Dastmalchian is great. He's one of those actors that has always been great in everything he's been in. Normally a supporting role. Here he really gets a chance to shine. He gets to show a lot of range. And I think he's great throughout. And there's a number of other actors in the ensemble who I think are delightful too. I think his name is Josh Kwong Tart is the producer. I think his name was Les or Len or something like that. He's he's
Leo,
got the leather,
right?
Leather jacket and the glasses. And he's always smoking.
And you just know that dude smells like fucking cocaine and fucking high karate, right?
Oh, absolutely. He's no stranger to the Divorced Dads Club with Dr. Chalice from Halloween 3.
No.
You know, they're all placing bets on who can score with the waitress at Bennigan's.
Absolutely.
They've all got skin in the game.
He's doing lines off of a hooker's back.
High karate.
I think one of the standout performances is Ingrid Torelli, the young girl. Because she just has that creepy look to her. And I'm thinking, honey, you are only 18. And how many boys are like watching this movie and going, yeah, no, I can't go there. Those looks she gives us, she's looking at the camera like a dog, turning her head. Which camera do I look at now, Jack?
Oh, straight into the lens.
Yeah,
very unsettling.
Yeah.
This movie also made me sort of reconceive the way I'm actually reviewing these movies. Because there's one thing, I enjoyed this movie a lot more than Longlegs, which we talked about last time.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Me too.
How much does you being scared affect the rating that you're going to give a movie, or you being creeped out affect how you're going to rate a horror? Because we're rating horror movies, right? I will say this: I enjoyed this movie much more than Longlegs. I will say Longlegs, on the whole, creeped me out a lot more than this movie did, and that it gave me pause as I was thinking, like, oh, how am I going to rate this? Because I didn't really find it that scary.
No.
I think definitely if you're not a fan of horror movies or you're scared easily, there's some stuff in here that can get you. If Satanism and that kind of thing is one of your triggers, there's definitely going to be some stuff in here. It has homages to, it's got homages to The Exorcist in there. I don't think that's giving away a spoiler.
Sure.
It might give some people the heebie-jeebies, but I enjoyed watching this and then watching it again the second time to see kind of what I missed, which is not a feeling I had with Longlegs, where I was just kind of upset I had to watch it again.
Yeah. Did you watch Halloween 3 only once?
No, I watched it twice, man.
Really?
So I heard that song plenty of times. Well, I will say this. I watched it once all the way through. And,
Okay.
Oh, my God.
I was just asking for a friend. I just got a text message from someone. They're like, do you think your brother watched it more than once? And I was like, I don't know. I'll ask.
Yeah, I went back. I think I did skip the song every time. So now I feel like I've...
It's almost.
We're making up for that.
The
Great.
clock is ticking.
Thank you for that. But yeah, I think it's a well-made movie with some really good performances. A real sort of, who directed this movie? You know what? I didn't even put that.
Some brothers. The Cairnes Brothers. Cameron and Colin. I believe they're Australian. I don't know much about them, but this was made in Australia. It's a lot of Australian actors and crew that were involved in this.
Yeah. Do they have any other credits, or have they directed anything before this? I mean, I'm sure this isn't their first picture, but
No, there's like some shorts, something called Celestial Avenue in 2009, Bloody Acres. Looks like they co-produce, and Colin does a lot of the directing, and his brother does the editing.
well
It's good.
done.
It's a good,
done.
it's a good brother 1-2 punch like we got going here.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, they look like Australian brothers. They look like that they're gonna.
One of them wearing those hats with the cowboy
I
hat
wish.
with the flap over the top.
I fucking
Or
wish.
Somebody's got like a necklace of crocodile teeth, or
Yeah, yeah. One of them's throwing a shrimp on the Barbie. Yeah, absolutely.
wearing a polo shirt from Outback Steakhouse.
The other guy's playing a didgeridoo. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay. I think I know what you're talking about now.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yahoo Serious poster on the wall
Oh my
behind
God.
their headshot.
I was actually gonna. I was gonna say at the end of this movie, it gets a little young Einstein for me, and you were gonna ask me what the fuck is young Einstein. I was gonna say it gets a little Yahoo Serious. So there you go. You fucking preempted me.
Nice.
My Yahoo Serious joke that no one would have fucking got. But
Well,
whatever.
you can still say it, and now we'll all get it. And
Okay.
thanks to the Cairnes Brothers from Australia. Look, they did a great job, I think, because this is not some standard run-of-the-mill horror movie by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and they wrote it.
It has a real interesting sort of take on everything. The found footage angle, which is, like you were saying, a real tired trope, but
Yep.
they made that work largely for most of this movie. And I was really impressed.
Before we get to the spoilers, I will say one thing. When this movie first came out, it got a lot of controversy. And the controversy came from the fact that they had used AI for some of the art stuff in it.
Oh,
And
no way.
the art stuff that they used the AI for was all that "We'll be right back" and, the Night Owls TV show logo. All of that was supposedly created by AI. Now, and a bunch of people were like, "Ugh, fuck AI, you're taking artists out of the picture." And a bunch of people got mad because of 3 things they had AI do. Whether they had AI do it 100% or just help, because I've seen a lot of people get inspired by AI and then take that image and then tweak it or massage it or change something and then, get it to work that way. So when it first came out, some people were throwing bad reviews at the movie that they hadn't even seen just because of the AI. This has been a Hollywood Minute. You're welcome.
All I know is that when AI breaks your nose and smashes your eyes, it wipes the mess on the curtains. Dick robot. Or is that Dick Warlock?
It was Dick Warlock.
Well, that's a whole different conversation for a whole nother podcast there.
Yeah. Me personally, it doesn't bother me the whole we used AI to help with some of the background imagery, and some people might say, oh yeah, but that's not just in those little moments that you see it, because the entire stage door that he comes in and out of, that guests come in and out of, is a big giant AI generated image.
Somebody still had to make the door, right?
Somebody still had to make the door. Somebody still had to print that thing out. Somebody probably even tweaked that AI art generated thing. We take our inspiration from lots of places.
It's unfortunate, too, that it translates into people like review bombing something, just because they don't like a certain actor or a certain practice or, something that doesn't have to do with the actual finished product of the film itself. They still got to go on Rotten Tomatoes and put their poisoned 2 cents.
Which is exactly what happened with Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. People review bombed it because it didn't have Michael Myers in it.
No, who you want to know whose opinion I am excited to learn about Halloween 3 Season of the Witch? I can't wait to hear what Gene Siskel has to say about Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
AI Gene Siskel. And
No. I'm regular
Oh.
Gene Siskel.
Oh, regular Gene Siskel. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you look it up?
I didn't because
did.
I didn't think it was going to be such a bone of contention with us. But we can get to that later. I want to
Okay.
talk more about Late Night with the Devil.
Late
but
Night
I
with the
think-
Devil.
I think we're getting into spoiler territory pretty soon.
Okay.
do we
I mean, do we want to give our review now? I think that's kind of what we're doing, right?
I think we should. But what are we going to review? Late Night with the Devil.
Ooh. That's a really good one.
But I think it's Sacrificial Daggers.
Okay, great.
So I will ask you first, since I
Yes.
had to go with my Halloween. How many sacrificial daggers would you give Late Night with the Devil?
I'm gonna give it 2.5 because me.
Suck my ball.
I'm giving it 7 sacrificial daggers. I like this movie, but I don't think it's great. I think it falls a little apart at the end, and it gets a little too young Einstein.
Well, what do you mean by that?
It gets a little Yahoo serious for me.
Well, I was originally going to give it 8, but since you gave Halloween Season of the Witch an 8, I'm going to give this 8.5 sacrificial daggers.
Okay, all right.
But I did earnestly like this movie a lot. There was just something, as soon as I saw the first trailer for this one, the grainy texture, that old TV vibe, and the content of it, I think really hit something primal in like my fear center. Like that, maybe I don't have that sort of issue anymore, but as a young kid, that kind of stuff really freaked me out.
That's really cool. I love that.
It's probably because I had an older brother who showed me The Omen way too young. But that's a story for a different
That guy
podcast.
sounds like a jerk. Who would want an older brother like that?
4 years old. You can handle The Omen.
No way. You were 4?
Yeah, 4 or 5, man.
Okay. Well, look at you now.
Yeah, I've got a horror podcast. So it's all part of the master plan.
Exactly. This was a long con for me. I've been cooking this one for quite a while.
Well, shall we head to the lobby and come back and spoil everything?
Absolutely. Let's do that. I'll see you out there.
Show starts in 1 minute.
Oh, God, shut it off. Shut the fucking song off.
What are you talking about?
Shut, please.
What's going on?
This makes me want to make a deal with the devil so I can fucking erase this song from musical history forever.
At 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
And we're back. I guess the song was good, right? You know, something else I forgot to mention about Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is, remember there's that scene where they're in the town and you hear the voice come over the loudspeakers telling everybody that curfew's coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know who that voice was?
Is it Tommy Lee Wallace, the director-writer?
No, it was a female voice.
No, who was it?
It was Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can we also talk about that it was a little weird that the movie that was on while he was at the dive bar was Halloween?
Is that weird?
Yeah.
No, that's not.
A little. So in a way, Jamie Lee Curtis was in Halloween 3 as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome to the Halloween 3 podcast. I'm your host, Mike.
We're done. Let's spoil some things about Late Night with the Devil because there's a lot of cool stuff and not so cool stuff.
Let me hear what you think was good before we get into the bad or the ugly.
Well, when they start the found footage element, they start with that sort of fake news broadcast that tells you all about how the host was Jack Riley or whatever his name was there. And they give you that whole introduction, exposition thing before leading into the found footage stuff. And
you
then,
recognize the narrator's voice, right? It wasn't Jamie Lee Curtis or Tommy Lee Wallace.
Was it John Larroquette?
No, it was Michael Ironside.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Shit. No, I didn't. But I'm always happy to hear about Michael Ironside.
Michael Ironside, he's awesome.
Welcome to the Michael Ironside Hour.
Hi. The only thing is he's not in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, sadly.
But he's the narrator there. And I thought it was a great setup. And then later on, when they bring out the girl, they have another news report where they go to how they found the girl in the cults.
Yeah, that was cool.
I thought that was a neat way to keep the convention going. So, I have to mark it as a good and a bad. Because I was feeling that vibe throughout the whole thing until it gets Yahoo serious.
Yes, until a young Einstein's out at the end.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite Return of the King, but a young Einstein's a bit.
But I thought that this movie's got a good mix of subtle scares, and I think David Dastmalchian does a great job. Like, that character's motivations, right? He wants to be the best late-night talk show host, the highest-rated late-night talk show host.
Sure.
And he is, right from the beginning, he's involved with this cultish group in the woods that's full of, like, politicians and Hollywood power players and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So you get that he's connected to this occult circle early on. And they talk about how his wife would then die of cancer soon thereafter. And
a non-smoker dies of lung cancer.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever a mystery kind of what has happened. You know what I mean?
Satan?
That he has essentially made a sacrifice to boost his career and to boost his ratings. But I thought the actor did a sort of a great job at just sort of portraying those desires and those regrets as the show moves along. Because like you said, it's in real time. In a lot of ways, this movie... my wife and I were remarking about this, is a little bit like a play, too.
Sure.
Like, I could see this on stage because you could easily do the TV stuff and then do, the behind-the-scenes stuff would be easy to do. It's all in real time. It's all happening right there. It's very contained in a way that, like, a stage play is. But I thought, despite the fact that, they give away some of the mysteries right at the beginning, the way they unfold and the way they get heightened and sort of accelerated towards the climax, I really enjoyed being on that ride in this movie.
You guys should do this as a play. Like, reach out to those guys and say, hey, we want to do this as a play, but change it into a musical.
Late Night with the Devil! Exclamation point. I know one song that won't be in it. Jesus Christ. Jesus.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't want to upset
I just realized that I have control of the soundboard too. So I can just stop this whatever the fuck I want. Look at that. The power was in me the whole time.
Oh, hell
Enough of that.
Yep.
Enough of that.
Yeah.
No, I've already mentioned, I think the switching the aspect ratios is great.
Yep.
The way they go from in front of the camera to behind. The Christu moment.
Yeah, the fake psychic bit.
Yeah, the fake psychic bit I thought was pretty cool and pretty surprising.
Because he's obviously failing at the beginning. And then it turns into the... Maddie,
Well,
Maddie.
He goes crazy. But in the meantime, he talks to that that couple of women there, gives them some closure.
Absolutely.
And I actually thought that moment was genuinely touching, testament to the actors in there. I was like, oh, that's it's great in horror movies and scary movies when you can actually see a moment that has genuine heart in it, and I liked it.
Yeah,
I can't watch that kind of thing anymore, like a medium talking to a group now, without thinking about Nightmare Alley. Was that the name of that movie? The Del Toro movie with Bradley Cooper and Cate Blanchett came out a couple of years ago.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, okay. Well, it's really like 3 movies in one, and one of the movies is pretty interesting, and the other 2 are
not so much.
That's a different podcast episode, I guess. But he essentially learns the spook show. He learns how to do that, and it is very detailed in that movie how someone uses certain phrases, and is working
keywords
with somebody.
And things, and tweaking a name till you get it right.
And I don't believe in that kind of thing, but I do understand what it takes to put on a good show. And if somebody's very good at that, I'll totally respect that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that tour around doing that stuff and sell out like big houses now. And I've had friends who have, who've had to be the, load in the set and run the lights and sound and all that kind of stuff for him. And he essentially said, like, I don't believe any of it, but it was a great show.
Yeah.
He's like, she put on a, he saw, I forget her name, the Long Island Medium, whatever. That woman's selling out, 1,000-seat houses. But
I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Anyway, the fake Christou bit was fun. Yeah.
I dug Christou. I also dug the guy who was, he's sort of based on the James Randi,
yes,
the
absolutely,
guy, the magician who's debunking everything.
Mm-hmm.
I just found that guy's name is in the movie he plays Carmichael, but the actor's name is Ian Bliss, and I thought that dude was hilarious. The second time I watched this, I especially thought he was hilarious because there was a bunch of stuff that sort of slipped by me the first time, but he's such a good prick.
Yeah, he really is. He really is. Yeah, no, really, really well done. His character is kind of awesome for being a complete prick. And absolutely, James Randi. That was the guy that put up $1 million, right? For anyone that could prove like life after death or something like that. Mm-hmm. But you had to like be able to really prove it, and still to this day has not been taken.
Yeah. So what did you like about this movie? What's sticking out for you?
I love that it opens up with a Pentagram song, "Forever My Queen." I discovered Pentagram a few years ago. It's an old metal band, and
know that one.
there's a documentary about them. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's a very sad documentary about how they almost became popular, and then the lead singer gets fucked up with drugs and ruins everything, like multiple times. But a lot of their music is great. It's very heavy, black, like if Black Sabbath listened to Black Sabbath, right?
Okay.
It's good stuff. So having that song "Forever My Queen" at the beginning, I was like, oh yeah, because I love that song by them. And I love the whole Hollywood cult. I think I wouldn't be surprised if there are Hollywood cults that people were involved in, especially in the 70s or the 60s, maybe the Errol Flynn era,
This is a little bit later. We're talking 77 is when this movie's supposed to take place.
Yep.
So that's Son of Sam, right?
Sure,
Creating a little panic there. It's a little bit after, I think, there was the official Church of Satan or whatever. Right, Anton LaVey, I think that was the guy who was the head of that.
Yeah.
That was based in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. I think Sammy Davis Jr. was a member at one point.
No way. The Candyman? Really? No. This can't be true.
Can I hear a Hail Satan and Sammy Davis Jr.? Here, we gotta Google that right now. Was Sammy Davis
Hail Satan
Jr. in Church of Satan?
The Candyman.
Rolling Stone magazine, August 4th, 2024. Inside Sammy Davis Jr.'s secret satanic past.
Oh, Satan can. Oh my God, really? That is amazing.
You know Satan is as powerful as God, man.
I tell you what, man. That Satan man, he's one crazy cat man. Oh, Satan can. He's the candy man. Yeah. We're singing tonight on the podcast.
This is, just after, I think a lot of that stuff had just gone on, news reports on that kind of stuff that showed you inside the Church of Satan had probably been happening a lot around then.
Yeah.
They give you a little bit in that opening montage, Michael Ironside narration, where I think they mix in some real footage with some other stuff, and they give you your first glimpse of the name Abraxas.
Yes.
Who will become our
big bad
demon later on in this movie.
Yeah. Those are things I like. What did you think was bad?
Well, like we've mentioned a lot of times, like the found footage convention, which I think is working through most of it, when it gets to the end, you get to the climax, it just crash lands a little bit. Because then you start wondering, like, where's the camera and who am I supposed to be? It happens a little bit earlier in when you get the first hypnotic bits, right? Carmichael, our debunker, puts the sidekick of the late night host under hypnosis, and he has that thing where he's like, I guess the guy's afraid of worms, and he feels like the worms are coming at him, and you get those effects.
Oh, you're bleeding. Yeah, what's going on with your neck? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then so you start to think, well, like, I saw that, but apparently that was some sort of hypnotic act. And then they explain it away. They review the footage again.
To show that none of it happened.
This time you don't see it. Mm-hmm. I felt like that's when the convention starts to crack.
That's when the movie started to cheat. Absolutely.
You're no longer watching this recording of an old broadcast. Now there's something a little bit, something a little bit more is happening.
Now you're being hypnotized into believing something by an old broadcast.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
I guess.
Yeah.
Again, I watched this one with my wife. She was really turned off by that whole aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
I was fine with it. At this point, I was just kind of along for the ride. And it will continue to cheat. And then when our girl, Lily, gets possessed, really possessed.
And then suddenly she has possession makeup on.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, suddenly her lip is split and all the way down to her chin, and she's got no eyebrows, and she's got a demony forehead.
What did you think about that?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't necessarily like the design, right? But I cannot, and I've learned many, many years ago. I was watching that movie California with a K.
The one with Brad Pitt and David Duchovny.
It's a good movie, right? It's a fun sort of. Juliette Lewis is in it, playing,
that's right.
Creepy, wild, crazy Juliette Lewis. On that particular movie, there's a moment where I think Brad Pitt gets hit in the face with a shovel, and what the result is a really awful broken nose makeup that like stands out like crazy. And I remember at the time I was like, that looks like shit. And then spending so many years in makeup effects in movies, I realized that it's not about how it looks on film, because you have no idea what happened on that day. Did the AD come and say, you've got 5 minutes to get that nose on? We have to shoot it. And then they were like, oh my God. And then someone said, don't worry, we'll fix it in post. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard, don't worry, we'll fix it in post. And then you go to see the movie and they didn't. So I when I see things that stand out to me as makeup in movies these days, I don't go, poor execution. I just think, I don't know what happened that day.
Yeah.
You know? Because a lot of times, here's what you'll do. You'll spend 3 or 4 hours putting a makeup on somebody and it looks fucking brilliant, right? We're going to shoot them at 9 in the morning. So you got to come in at 5. You got to set up. Everything's got to be ready to go at 9. 9 comes around, they shoot something else. 10 comes around, they shoot something else. 11 comes around, they're shooting wides. Pretty soon it's lunchtime. Actor goes and eats lunch. Comes back from lunch with greasy lips, fucked up the makeup. Now it's got to be touched up. We're ready for the close-up now. That is how it works every single fucking time. So if I see something in a movie that stands out as makeup, nowadays I don't go, I don't like the look of that, because I don't know what went into what happened that day. So maybe the design isn't something that I would have chosen, but again, not necessarily up to the people that applied it or created it, because a lot of times you're listening to a group of people that are telling you what they want. Make it more like The Exorcist.
I mean, it was straight up Exorcist.
It was absolutely straight up Exorcist.
Straight up.
Yeah. And, you know, The Exorcist, I think that's a good makeup. But it's not like she transitions from normal to demon, you know, with all the cuts and the scars and all that shit. She's already got all those things kind of there in place, right? Even when she's not the demon.
Like in Exorcist, the implication is that she's done that stuff to herself.
Absolutely.
It doesn't
absolutely.
just appear, right?
Yeah, and or some of it appears because they're splashing her with the holy water and it's ripping, furrows into her skin. Yeah. But it's not like that shit disappears. So for suddenly there to be a furrow in her face, that's some producer going, you remember The Exorcist? Make it more like that. You know, chomping on a cigar and saying, that's what it should be. No eyebrows, because no eyebrows is creepy. So make sure she doesn't have eyebrows.
Well, we hit on it a second ago, too, but one of the other startling moments, effects moments, is the worms.
Worms in the belly.
Worm.
Yeah.
And the big one that comes out of his eye there.
Yeah, yeah.
Was that one that comes out of his eye, was that some sort of puppet? It
was all practical stuff, all practical effects. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's like a puppet head there, and it's got like a puppet worm that is right there in it. And does it look like a puppet head? Sure, it looks like a puppet head. But you know what? Bravo for using practical effects.
Yeah.
You know, I love practical effects are making a huge comeback. You wouldn't believe how many producers and people are saying, "Oh, we want all the effects to be practical," till they find out how much it's going to cost or how long it takes you to make it. Like you don't just, "Oh yeah, hold on, I've got it right here. Let me just turn around on the shelf and get you that fucking dancing lobster robot."
I saw Mrs. Doubtfire last night. I know how it works.
Yeah. So this takes you about 40 minutes to apply, correct?
Yeah, the thing is, it's not a long take on him when that worm is coming out of his head. It looked like a puppet to me, but it didn't look bad at all. In fact, you're just so sort of focused on the worm exploding from his eyeball that it's just gross and horrifying.
And then you see the same mechanical worm later when the zoo lady is there during his weird, dream sequence version of the end of the movie. Yeah. So the practical effects, I'm glad they used a bunch of practical effects. There's some really crappy digital effects in the end of the movie that I didn't like.
Ooh, tell me about them.
Like when it gets all Yahoo serious and young Einstein's out like crazy. It's
like when her head splits apart.
Her head splits apart and it's all weird video stuff and the lightning bolts and suddenly she's killing everyone in the room and
weird.
Yeah, all of that stuff. I'm like, you know what? There's no more subtlety to this movie. This movie was creepy up until the worms, right? And then that's a little heavy-handed, but I'm still okay with it But then I'm annoyed that, we're all supposed to have been, hypnotized, and we all imagined that. And then at the end, it's not hypnosis. It's the demon Abraxas coming out, possessing the girl, and then killing everybody in fantastic, crazy, over the top ways. And it's too much, and it's too over the top. And yeah, did not care for it.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I didn't get hung up so much on they did their best. It wasn't perfect. They did their best to try and explain away how we saw it at first and then we didn't by actually putting it in the script of like, that's not how I remember that happening.
Yeah.
And, I will say the image of the girl with her head split in two and the weird energy within, I didn't mind that so much. I did not dig the like weird lightning bolts and stuff. Like they're trying to unplug the theremin or something and they're getting zapped by little lightning bolts. They set up the electrical element of the power. I'm cool with that. But just the actual way it looked and sort of like, I don't know, the actor's reaction to it
looked pretty hokey.
It did. It looked a little phony. It looked a little phony. And a lot of this movie is actually, I mean, it is batshit crazy in the end, but like there's a lot of the acting is subtle at times, know?
It is.
The way, like I said before, the sort of sacrifices that our main character makes are never really much of a secret, but I thought he did such a commendable job at like showing the way he regretted things and his sort of journey throughout here was nice and kind of in a very subtle way. And then you've got like these blue lightning bolts coming out of nowhere and people are like, ow, geez, and shaking their hands, and it just looked hokey.
That was cheesy.
Phony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That part was cheesy. And at the end, that whole way over the top with her head split in half. I mean, I kept thinking of, Windows in The Thing. Not Windows, but Palmer in The Thing. When his head splits in half. But that's all a big fucking amazingly cool practical effect.
Yeah.
Whereas this was just some weird digital tear, and it didn't, in all the other stuff that they were putting over the top of it, it didn't work for me. And just the fact that movie is just so over the top now at the end. And that's when the POV shifts from we're watching the broadcast to we're now inside the head of Jack. And Jack is seeing his dead wife, and he's seeing the ritual in the woods, and he's, you sold your soul to the devil so that you can have a popular TV show, and this is how the devil is reaping his rewards through Abraxas, and we're getting to see that inside of your head, right? I just didn't like that shift, that POV shift. Breaks the wall of what they've been doing the entire time, which worked up until then when the movie was subtle. Now it's fucking over the top, and it's a different shift.
Yeah, and they said earlier too, it was Carmichael, the guy who's debunking everything.
Yeah,
he says something about when they start mentioning Abraxas, and Abraxas has possessed this girl. Mm-hmm. And he says, well, Abraxas is that demon is a consummate showman. He always wants to put on a show or something like that. And that's where the magician's favorite magic word comes. And
abracadabra,
she finishes the sentence with abracadabra.
Yeah.
Which will get referenced. I don't know if you heard the demon say that to him.
No, I don't think I did.
So when it's going Yahoo serious, and the debunker all of a sudden he's like on his knees and and like giving a Hail Satan full of grace. He's totally into it now. He's like, I pledge my soul to you in eternity and all this stuff. And it's kind of funny. He pulls out the check like as like an offering or something.
Yeah, he holds up the check and it erupts in flame.
Yeah, and that's when the demon says abracadabra to him, and the check starts on fire, and then he starts on fire, and that was,
again, bad digital.
That was a bad digital effect.
Yeah.
And
I get it. They probably didn't have money. That's why you made a found footage movie in the first place, is you didn't have a lot of money. And you found clever ways around stuff. We're in one location. We are 6 actors, right? Or however many actors it is, that are main. And then you've got your audience that you probably only have to show a few times.
Sure.
So they're only there a couple of days.
1 day or 2 days, right?
Sure, yeah. But just...
when it gets to that climax, it's so digital. And the digital flames, I didn't dig. I'm always a fan of any time I see a stuntman get completely immolated in something, just because
fuck yeah,
that's such a dangerous thing to do.
Yeah. Have you ever been on set for one?
No.
Oh, it's fucking great. I mean, as creepy as it is, it's great. There's all this tension and I've made masks for guys that are going to do a fire gag, and you'll make like a foam mask and you'll soak it in that. It's like this thick, sort of soupy, fire retardant stuff, and you're squeezing it, and you're letting the foam soak it up like a sponge, and then pulling it over his head, and then wetting the guy down with the stuff, and then they hit him with the flame jet. It's fucking great and breathtaking, because everyone's like, okay, here we go, and then But to do it digitally, it's just fuck you.
It not only digitally, but it was really a lackluster. For me, was probably the most lackluster effect of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Was him getting set on fire. I actually didn't mind the look of the demon with the split head and everything, because I think they were tweaking the filter on the camera a lot at that moment. They're making everything look grainy and shaky and staticky, with the energy that they've been setting up this whole time. So I didn't mind that demon, but I did when he got set on fire. I just thought that was a little bit weak.
Yeah.
And then you get essentially the dream ballet, right? All of a sudden, Jack is going through everything. Like, here's every character you've seen in the movie. Like, you remember his wife, and here's the head of the cult of Abraxas, and remember this weird owl thing? It's here too. And it's like
they do that whole
parade.
show within the show. Like, here you are, the show's starting all over again, but everyone's in on it, and they're just kind of like. Yeah. He at one point, I think Jack is even interviewing himself. He's looking at himself sitting on the couch, right? And kind of like turning his head like he can't believe what he's seeing. And the other one's like an evil version. And it's just...
Yeah, he's seeing all that stuff. And that, I guess, to me, I'm thinking like, well, they've said Abraxas likes to put on the show. And now he's taking control of this thing. And so now that's what we're seeing. But that does essentially, I think, break the convention of what you're about to see is true. Late night with the devil. That goes completely out the window.
If you throw out that concept at the very beginning and you make this more like a traditional movie and you follow characters, you follow Jack when he wakes up in the morning and he's talking to his producer about the ratings and blah, blah, blah. And you go and he's like looking at pictures of his dead wife and you get the grief and you shoot this like a regular movie. I think I would have really liked it more than Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. But because you didn't do that, Halloween 3, I'm going to watch that time and time again throughout the Halloween. Now, getting back to the end of this movie and the end of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, they have the same fucking ending. both movies have the main character screaming at the camera,
Oh.
turn it
Oh my
off.
God, you're right.
Turn it off. Turn it off. Yeah.
You're right. You're
Yeah.
right.
That is
You
why
know what?
these movies pair well together.
I was thinking that it was merely the fact that both of them took place on Halloween night.
Uh-huh.
But,
Television.
You know, that one,
Yep. Magic
watched
coming
both
through
of
the
them.
TV.
I watched both of them twice, and I didn't actually catch that. But you're
Wow.
100% correct.
Yeah.
Turn it off. Yeah, it was. I wondered at the end of it if they had given us another little Michael Ironside bookend,
Sure.
if that might have helped something, or if they had one last trick to pull with the narrator at this, maybe it was Abraxas the whole time. I don't know. That's a fucking dumb idea. But I did.
Or if everyone turns out to be androids at the end. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
There's a big piece of Stonehenge in there.
Yes, yes. Druidic earth magic.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You're welcome, world. We've given it to you. Both of these
So-
films.
No doubt I liked this one a lot more than Halloween 3 and more than you did. I just think today, so many of the things that I watch, and I don't mean like the terrible found footage movies, because most of them are terrible. So many of them have that convention of like fake documentary style,
Yeah.
whether it's like Modern Family or whatever. Now those are comedies, but still, at some point you're watching any of those shows, you're like, there's no way a documentary crew is here the whole time catching all of this stuff and all of these moments. And,
Yeah.
you just, or why is there a documentary crew following around this family? Just, you have to do a little hand waving.
Yeah.
This movie, granted, made you wave the hands a little bit more.
Frantically
and perhaps
at the end.
too much frantically.
Yeah. I like this movie, just not as much as Halloween 3. And
Jesus.
yeah, because to me, there's not a lot of comeback power to this. This is not something I'm going to watch over and over again.
Let me tell you something, though. Let me ask you something. If at the end of this movie,
Yeah.
when everything goes crazy, they had played Yakety Sax, the Benny Hill theme, would you have rated it higher?
I would.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We said we were going to do it for the end of Carrie, but I think it could work for the end of this one, too.
All right. I think that's all we got.
The head, the tail, the whole damn thing.
All right. Hold on.
What? I was almost
We
out of
forgot.
here.
We forgot to dip into the gene pool.
Oh, that's right. We're going a little Gene Siskel,
Yeah.
Titan of the Industry, Gene Siskel review.
Yeah. Absolutely. Siskel found Halloween 3 Season of the Witch disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah, jerk, idiot.
No.
Lacking the
Right on the
suspense
money,
and tension that made the first two Halloween films successful. He criticized the film's departure from the Michael Myers storyline, feeling it diluted the series' impact. Well, what did he know? Regarding the plot, what? Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I would disagree with Gene on that point. I think if it had worked, it would have been a great shift in the anthology. But he's right.
Here's where you
Disappointing
had
movie.
your finger on Gene Siskel's nose. The sinister plot involving pagan rituals, mask making, and corporate greed was intriguing, but poorly executed. Well, again, he's wrong.
No, I am thrilled to be on the same page as Gene Siskel,
Titan of the industry.
Titan of the Industry.
Although the film effectively created an eerie atmosphere, the cast performances were forgettable, except for Dan O'Harely's menacing portrayal of Connell Cochran. There you go. He gave it 2 out of 4 stars.
That's generous. If I was on the 4-star rating, this would have been a 1-star movie.
2 out of 4, Chicago Tribune. Gene Siskel, Titan of the Industry. What about Gene Shalit?
You know what would be great?
If this movie had masks and bugs came out of them, how fantastic would that be? Gene Shalit praised the film's unique departure from the Michael Myers storyline, calling it a clever twist. He enjoyed the eerie atmosphere, the setting of the mask-making factory, and Dan O'Harely's performance. Again, everybody loves Dan.
Yeah.
However...
Yeah, what's not to love about the old man?
Yeah. Was he in Darby O'Gill and the Little People?
No.
Or am I just
Darby O'Gill.
assuming he is because of the Irish?
Because he's really an Irish guy?
Yeah.
No.
Gene Shalit felt the pacing was slow and the plot was predictable. It wasn't as frightening as the first two Halloween movies, although it was still fairly frightening and entertaining.
He felt the plot was predictable?
I mean, who sees the fucking Westworld robot coming?
Yeah.
Nobody.
No one.
Nobody sees that.
Yeah.
Although, when the girl in the car at the end... And you know, she hasn't been talking the entire time.
We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
And he's like fighting just the arm.
Yeah. Let's be honest. How many stars are you giving it now?
No, man. 2.5.
No, it's got to be at least 3.
No, it doesn't. It's terrible. Let's get out of here. I've said my piece on Halloween 3, and goodness gracious, I never want to hear it again.
Okay. We're both hitting it at the same time, turning it on, turning it off, turning it on.
No.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
The head, the tail, the whole damn thing.
Well, that's our very special Halloween episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to be with us next time for Leprechaun and Oddity.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. It's Irish as hell, that one. That one's got Irish cream dripping out of it.
Oof, that sounds gross.
That's terrible. I apologize already.
We're not as good at this part as Tyler is.
No, but apparently he needs a kidney because he woke up in a bathtub full of ice, and I guess that's what happened.
So, reach out or Gmail. Just put kidney in the subject line and Gmail us at thewholedamnthing13@gmail.com.
And be sure to let us know what your blood type is.
It's very important.
Just like this podcast. And your mom.